When you think about having fun with your family and trying to integrate that with your faith, is that a challenge for you? Well, I've got a family that we're going to introduce to you today that loves to have family focused and seriously fun activities all the time. We're going to introduce them to you here in just a second. So, welcome to Modern Catholic Family. My name is Jim Schubert, and I've got my lovely bride, Meghan, with me. Hello, Meghan.
Hello.
And today we have the wonderful, beautiful, incredibly handsome, and talented family, the Cryer family, John and Sandra Cryer. John and Sandra, how are you guys doing?
Stop. I don't love that at all.
And I just saw his head get way too big there. That was fantastic. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
We're hanging in there, man. We're, as you know, off camera, we were trying to figure out all the technology, trying to get this going, but we made it happen. So feeling good.
Luck of the Cryers.
Yeah.
Got it all working.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why we had issues. Yeah. Didn't I say something about messy?
Well, let's jump into it. The Cryer family.
Yeah.
We know them from our home parish, St. Bridget Catholic Church in Johns Creek, Georgia. And our kids have gone to school with each other over the years. Yep. And they sit in front of us most masses.
Most weekends.
And I try as hard as I can not to flick John on the head. Kind of hard, but no, but we love these guys. And they said, when I asked them to give us a short bio, they said, we are a family truly created by God. I love that. We keep faith first and have a goal of loving each other well, despite our faults and flaws. So beautiful. Who has the most faults? No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that. If you're listening to this,
it's clear that she wrote that all by herself. So too good.
It was great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Honest.
Yeah.
I love it.
Meg, did you have something you were going to say about them?
I did. Yeah. I love this. And Sandra, you actually just kind of alluded to it a minute ago, but when we asked you guys to be on the podcast, you were actually one of the first people I wrote down on my list of people to contact, because to me, you're an inspiration as to what a Catholic family looks like. And a Catholic marriage, a Catholic family, the things that you do with your kids, the way that you model for them what a marriage should be. So I'm super excited that you guys are part of this today. But I want to read to you. So when we emailed you to ask you guys to be a part of it, Sandra, this is what you wrote back to me. You said, I'm laughing that you all want to have us as guest speakers. If you want messy, plus a ton of failed moments, all while trying hard to raise them up to be warriors for Christ within our Catholic faith, then I suppose we may be able to help, or at least allow people to feel real. And that was the most amazing response I think we could have received, because that's exactly what we want.
We should have used that as the bio. Why didn't we do that?
Well, that's why I wanted to read it. Tell me what inspired your answer.
Gosh, well, I'm honored that you all asked us. In fact, like a little misty-eyed, but I mean, I think it's true. We dig in hard. We make faith the focus, and we keep that first. But man, oh man, it's like a daily challenge where we stumble and fall. And I think when I don't know what it was recently, but talking about the importance of grace and how having a lot of grace, just even within your home and then even beyond the boundaries of your home, is so important, because none of us are perfect and all of us stumble along the way. But just accepting everybody for where they're at. So I love it. I think that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you guys are doing this, and I was excited to just be a part of it, because I think number one, like nowadays, being human is really hard, and particularly in the U.S., there's a lot going on in the world.
Yeah,
and I think also being a disciple for Christ is also very hard. And I think trying to raise kids in a world and be a faith-filled family is difficult. There's a ton of pain, hurt, injustice, confusion, dishonesty, you name it. There's a lot of that in the world. And Sandra and I often talk about, it's hard to imagine if we weren't Catholic and if we didn't have our faith, and if we were just out there sort of, hey, you do you and I'll do me, and we'll get through this life and YOLO and all that stuff. I don't see how that works. I really don't, much less trying to raise the kids. And I think for us, our faith is what we see as sort of the great inheritance. And I know that, and I'm not trying to sound narcissistic or anything, but that's about the best I can give the kids, or we can give the kids. Is, you said it well, Megan, it's like trying to mirror the faith, trying to live the faith, because the reality is, and we talk about this with kids, is we're not always going to be here, and we're not going to be with you when you go to college, or when you're starting your career, or when you're starting your own family. You're going to have to make decisions that are rooted in something. And do you want that to be rooted in the Kardashians, or do you want it to be rooted in, whatever last meme you read on Facebook, or do you want it to be rooted in faith and true belief in God? And so that's, I think it's great y'all are doing this, and that's kind of, I love talking about this and excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm curious, we didn't talk about this before, but I mean, it always just makes me think, could I have done what they did? Because the beginning of your family outside of your marriage was different, right? Can you tell us about how that came to be with your 3 children?
Yes. And I mean, I always say, if you didn't believe in God or don't believe in God, it's kind of hard not to believe in God when you hear our story. I think for us, God had picked 3 children for us to love and, it's going to make me cry. Love and raise. And while starting our family the traditional way was not God's plan, he had something bigger and better in store. And it was a 5-year journey of not understanding, confused, thinking that we were following the plan. And then in reality, it literally turned into God's voice, loud and clear, saying, no, this is really what I want you to do. And so, through the gift of a birth angel, as we refer her to, we have 3 beautiful children, and I'm not sure that it could be any better.
Yeah, Sandra said it well. I think for me, when we realized that we weren't going to be able to have a biological family of our own, I was kind of like, oh, that's okay. Well, that's different than what I thought this would be. And maybe we'll just kind of like live large and cruise around and be great aunts and uncles. And then you're like, that's kind of empty, Yeah. And then I was like, but I don't know about adoption. I'd never really, it's interesting. You kind of had a thought about adoption, like even before this or before that, you were open to it. And I had never considered it. And then I remember, this is going to sound wild, but I remember we had 2 dogs at the time. And I remember thinking, as much as I love the dogs, then surely if I could love the dogs, then I could also love kids that were dogs.
This is the seriously fun part.
That gives you insight into my brain and how it works. But then I was like, okay, let's do this. And then as Sandra said, it was a 5-year journey, lots of ups and downs, and ultimately landed with the 3 kids that we were meant to have. And we tell them that all the time. And there was so much prayer, so much pain, so much on our knees. So, it's funny to or it's not funny. It's interesting to look back on now, because don't even really think about it. But going back then, just in kind of reflecting, that was tough.
Yeah.
Man, that was difficult. So
a lot of loss, lot of loss. And a lot of people are like, how did you get to this point? And I'm like, well, if you hear the backstory and all the loss,
Yeah. it's just tragic. I mean, just tragedy. Just like, you're just like, oh man, that's tough. So
Yeah.
we
And
feel-
they're all biological brothers and sisters
They are.
themselves, which is just amazing.
Mm.
And I can't even imagine your family looking any different than
I
it does
agree.
now.
I
Right.
agree.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But what a wonderful, beautiful
Mhm.
family you guys have. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know it's I know it gets you a little choked up, and to
Does.
appreciate you being vulnerable about it.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, you know, who judge and criticize, I think the reality that when someone chooses life,
Mhm.
you not only give life to that child, but you make somebody else's hopes, dreams, and prayers a reality.
Mm.
So I know with one of our kids, I mean, they tell me all the time, I'm so grateful, like so grateful. So, and then we had one that recently participated in the March for Life down in Atlanta.
Wow.
And so that was exciting. So
Wow.
just, yeah, very, when someone chooses life, it blesses not only that child, but it blesses other people's lives.
And I'd say the cooler part of that story is the one that participated gets it. She was like,
Mhm.
if my birth angel weren't pro-life, I would never be here. And so
Wow.
we told them, like, never be ashamed of that. Like, that's part of your story,
Right.
and good for you, and like, you go, and that kind of stuff, just because they're now at the age where they're rational. Well, is rational.
Almost.
They're 15, 16, and 17.
They're becoming more wise as they grow in years, but they're starting to like
Towards
get
rational.
I'm not rational, but what am I saying? It's neat to watch them mature and start to kind of, I would say, take ownership of their lives and who they are and their story and their faith. I mean, it all, for us, it all goes back to faith. That's kind of how we see it.
Yeah. So how would you guys say that uniqueness of your family's story, how does that shape who you guys as a family, who you are as a family now, and the things that you do? I mean, we talk about, family focused and seriously fun. Like how does that happen?
I think, I guess the gratitude that I have for an answer to what seemed like, well, it was years and years of prayer. And I think that situation kind of helps me get through other hurdles that we have experienced or trials we've experienced in life, knowing that while it doesn't make sense in the journey, God does have a better plan, better than you could ever imagine. So I think for me, that's kind of a big cornerstone in my life, in my faith. Like I had my faith. I was raised in my faith. I went to a school that was faith focused, but I think when you truly go through a trial and then you see God's goodness on the other side of it, it's just, definitely a cornerstone in life. For the fun part, I think we just don't take, raising kids is hard, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it's hard to say. I just feel ever more grateful for them, and I don't want to miss a moment. We have a situation this weekend, and John's like, no, you don't need to go to the meet. And I'm like, well, I don't want to miss a moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think it's weird. I can't imagine. So if for folks that have never adopted, or don't have an adopted family, I don't really see them as adopted. Like, they're just our kids. And maybe it's because we've had them from from birth. So I can't even imagine what it would be like if they were our three biological kids. But what I am reminded of is, Sandra and I had a plan, as like I'm sure most couples do when they get married, of how things are going to go, how many kids, or arrange, and we're going to have this lifestyle and live in this place, and our kids are going to excel in these areas, and they're going to go on to do these things, and you kind of have this plan. And I think quickly our plan, or any thought of a plan, got sort of set aside.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you just kind of go, okay, well, like, let's just kind of take this on faith and see where it goes. And so I think even their personalities, their heights, like literally how tall they're going to be, with our son is obsessed about. It's like, I don't know, like, this is a mystery, like, let's see where this goes. And so I think their personalities and watching them come into teenagehood, and we see one that's more moody than the others, and we have one that's more creative, and one that's more like a cat, and one that's more outgoing. And so you're just kind of constantly learning, and it's sort of fascinating to watch them develop as little human beings. And then Sandra and I are, we're evolving and they're evolving. And so I think that's kind of it. The seriously fun thing, like, I don't know, it's some of the most fun we have is sitting around the dinner table after dinner, and we got some comics. I mean, they're good at telling jokes, and they're good at impersonations, but just sitting around the table laughing, like, that is, to me, that is a ton of fun. And we do fun things as a family, but we're not the seriously fun on a plane, on an excursion every weekend. That's not.
It's at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
dance parties or
karaoke.
John loves karaoke.
I do. I'm pretty good.
I didn't know that. That might have to be something we entertain together.
Oh, let's do it. Yes. And I got one that'll do it with me who loves it. I got two others that secretly love it. They just haven't come to it yet. And then
right, exactly.
She won't leave the room. She won't even want to find her and serenade her wherever she is.
I have to say, though, you just said that some of the most fun times you have are around the dinner table as a family. And that's actually something to me that I'm not surprised about for you guys, because when I think about your family, I don't think about, let's say, you and Sandra not being there for your kids so the two of you can go off and have a good time. My thoughts about your family, and this is something that really resonates with me as a mom as well, you'd be willing to give something up for yourself to spend time with your kids, whether it's standing on the sidelines at that track meet or whether it's sitting at the dining room table. And in today's world, I think it's very easy. Our world makes it easy and tells us it's okay. They'll be fine. You do what you want to do. And maybe that's not necessarily in the best interest of the family, but you guys really buck that and you kind of anchor down. You do family camp. Maybe you can talk about that for a second. You attend all the games, you run as a family. I mean, I'm like, who does that?
Oh man, I run when people are chasing me.
Exactly. But you really do like buckle down, right? And this is your family.
And family dinner is important, and family dinner is every night. And some nights it's harder than others, especially in the spring now with soccer and track. And but when someone's missing from the table, say one is out with friends, we sit there and they're like, oh, it's just not the same. There's always that I miss that one person, or last night, is Papa coming home? Is he going to eat with us? Like, will he be home in time? And they love that. Another thing we do, we have these games, like the cards that we play. They love those. They'll ask family questions. I'll have to think of the name of them and get them to you, but they're really good. And actually, one of them we learned from family camp, because they'll send out emails with ideas for family time. But
what's family camp?
Has become, we're on year 7.
Oh, really?
Yes, year 7 of family camp.
I was going to say 3.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this. What is family camp?
So we go to Pine Cove. It's in South Carolina. And it's 1 week of literally summer camp for the family.
As a family, not sending your kids off by themselves. Like you go as a family.
Nope. All 5 of us go. And some of the best time, I mean, people line up early before they open the gates of camp. And the same families come back year after year.
Yeah.
And you just get to, I don't know, do life with these people for 1 week. And the kids have the freedom to come and go out of the cabins, and they love that. And every year we think this is our last year. Like they're going to be tired. It's not huge, but there's the lake and there's zip line and horses and they're like, no, it just gets better and better each year. We can't not come.
That's
So
awesome.
There's a huge underlying faith component. So the parents every day, they have a speaker session. It'll be a speaker for the week, and it's typically someone that's a pastor or a counselor, or I'm trying to remember who's been there over the years. But anyway, in the morning you have a devotion, you have a breakfast time. Kids go off and do like camp stuff. Parents get together, and then they go to a speaker session, and it's all around family and faith. And so, you get to know these families well. We stay in contact with a couple, not all, but there's 32 families. There's
about that.
It's a large number of families. So
we have a good connection of families from all over Florida, Texas, California, up the East Coast, Virginia. Gosh, we've got one kid we're praying for now. And that's what's kind of neat. Now we've built a little prayer chain, and as people need prayers, we pray for each other's families. But it's really become, we kind of almost call it our family reset week, because we have a family devotional every morning. And I have to say, this year, I was kind of jaw dropped with how God, you get assigned a counselor every year, and that becomes, they call it your family devotional.
You're not automatically the counselor as the parents?
No. Well, they insert, it's really neat how they talk about it. So these college kids are counselors with your kids. And then what they say, it's kind of cyclical. So they assign one of the counselors with a family to do family devotionals every morning. And they want that college student to see how family life is run from a faith-based perspective.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's, and then they feed into those kids as well.
Yeah.
And the people that run the camp say our ministry really is these college kids. And then these college kids pour into your kids, and then you pour into these college kids. So it's kind of neat. But this year, our family devotional, I was just texting with him a bunch last night. He reached out to me and was asking me all these questions and wanted some wisdom. But when we met him the first night, opening night, you go in and it's the big reveal on who your family devotional counselor is, because he's sitting at your table. And we had a guy this year, and the first question out of his mouth was, he looked over at Dominic and said, how are your grades? I was like,
oh my gosh. God said,
I just asked my son that. And he and Dominic, his camp name is Miz. They all have camp names. But his real name is Jason. And I don't think I could be ever more grateful for Jason. He has become the big brother to Dominic that Dominic just so desperately would love to have. And
that's cool.
They text each other daily.
Wow.
To this day. From family.
Wow.
Yep.
That's really cool.
You're right. That is an absolute godsend.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a moment in life where you step back and go, thank you, God. We needed it. Yeah. You provided it. Connection for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been neat. So, family camp.
And are you going this summer?
Yes. It may be our last summer, though, because Dominic turns 18, and once they turn 18, they age out. So
would they get the opportunity to be a counselor if they wanted to then?
Yes, he would. Yeah. So the girls are like, no, it can't be our last one. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you'll keep going and it will be just you and the girls. And perhaps that's a lead in to how life will be at home when your oldest goes off to college. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's been something we've had to adjust to this year. And so maybe that's just an experience that the girls will get to show them that life as a family does go on. It's different, but it goes on.
Yeah. That's really cool. I've literally never heard of family camp before. Maybe you guys said it in like,
you just didn't know.
And I just, didn't understand what that meant. I thought it was like you put a tent up in your living room or something. I just thought that's what you called it.
We have done that.
It's hard to explain to people, but highly recommend. It's the best. It's the best value because you don't lift a finger. These counselors, they do everything for you.
Wow,
that's cool. Do you know the website off the top of your head? If not, we can put it in the show notes.
Well, it's not. It's a non-denominational camp.
Got it. But it's still
Oh yeah, I highly
It
recommend
doesn't
Pine
matter.
Cove.
Pine
Pine
Cove.
Cove.
Okay.
Pinecove.com.
Pinecove.com. Cool. Yeah. I mean, it sounds to me like whether it's Catholic based or not, it doesn't matter. It's a place that facilitates your deepening of your family culture and your faith. Doesn't matter whether.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids get full esteem there. So they have character qualities at the end of the week. So they stand there and they call each kid up and they recognize them for the godly qualities that they saw in them that week. Every night there's some form of praise and worship. And I mean, it's literally just a place where you can go. And if you were just thinking of exhaling, it's exactly what it is. It's on a lake in South Carolina. There's activities to do. You can do the activities, you can not do the activities, but really the family just feels very, very, I think everyone feels very accepted there. That's kind of how I see it. They start the week in the parent session with your highs and lows. So every family, every parents will stand up and they'll talk about their highs from the prior year and their lows. And so again, these families, you've been with them, most of them year after year after year. And so the intimacy there is just like almost immediately. And everybody's there because they love God and they're there trying to better themselves as parents and as followers. And, to your point, Jim, so it doesn't matter if you're Catholic or not. You have to love Jesus Christ, of course, to be there. If not, it probably wouldn't be that much fun, but
Plant the seed.
yeah, I mean, it's just you come out of there, and Sandra says like the reset week, you just feel full and the kids are full and like they're fired up. And Jason was just a bonus this year. A kid from Nigeria, tough story, pre-med, great kid.
Brilliant.
I mean, just, really amazing. So him and Dominic have bonded. He's come over the house a few times over the year, or at least a couple of times this year. And anyway, the girls have connected with him, and he's a great example of what a God-fearing, young man looks like. And he's not that much older than them. So I don't know. I was mentioning to Sandra, give Isabella a couple of years.
A parent's mind never stops working.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it, guys. I know it doesn't feel
That's
like
a unique
it's
one.
Yeah, that's super unique. I'm really glad we talked about it. And it's crazy because I feel like time has flown so much, and I'm kind of ready to get into the rapid fire round already. Unless there's something that you feel like you just didn't get out in the episode yet.
The one thing I would say that we touched on it, but I would say Sandra has always been has always reminded me that dinner time is important. Yeah. So for me, and I can get wrapped up in work, and I work in a corporate world, and it, I can get over involved. It's not hard for me to do that. But I'd say the second thing is, even when they were young, it's sort of that idea of don't blink. And Sandra will say, John, let's not John, but let's be mindful that this time is going to pass. And so I have, maybe Sandra didn't realize how much that stuck with me, but I'm always mindful. And I feel like our vocation as parents. And so we really are trying to prepare them, and, our work's not done, but I'm always reminded especially now, like we're on the clock, and people that are ahead of us, like yourselves, will say things like, it's different when one kid goes, and you kind of reset as a family. Yeah. And so we've always been mindful of that, and just trying to make sure that you don't think this continues forever, that you've got to just be mindful of the moment and not miss track meets and prioritize all the family time and opportunities, because they won't be there. And then you're going to be like, we just didn't, they're gone, and we just didn't get that, one thing or whatever, but it's going to happen. I know. So we're going to run out of time. I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And that's great advice for parents of children of all ages. Yeah. It doesn't just apply to high schoolers. It doesn't just apply to parents of toddlers. It's every single stage, right? And we hit that. And in the moment, sometimes it feels so overwhelming and kind of suffocating. But when you stop and think, this doesn't last forever. My mom always says, this too shall pass.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And you get in those moments where you feel like you can't get out. And then all of a sudden something changes and it's new. And then it becomes heavy again. and
Yeah.
something changes and it's new and then it becomes heavy again. But
Yeah.
it's a great reminder to parents of all stages of life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when Oliver comes home, like when he came home for spring break, he was only home for 4 days.
4 days. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I felt guilty going to work at all, but I'm like, well, I mean, I do have to work, and it
he
is
slept
his
until
spring
1.
break. Yeah, and he slept until 1. So it's
So
like, whatever.
why
I'm
are
going to
you
get some
here?
work done in the morning. But then I was so giddy to come home
Mm-hmm.
and just like, just get that little bit extra
Mm-hmm.
time with him. It's almost like, I mean, maybe it's a bad analogy, but if you're underwater and you need air, right? You come up and it feels so good to take that breath. And that's what it was like every time I came home and got to see him. It was just like, it's so good to see you, buddy. I mean, we just give each other like the biggest bear hugs.
Oh,
He's taller than me now.
I
And
know.
the dude is jacked. So it like kind of almost hurts when he gives me a big crusher, but I love it. I love it. It's a good kind of hurt, right?
Yes.
But yeah, to your point, like it's just, you realize even more when they're not there, and then you have them again that, oh my gosh, time really is so, so precious. And it's just, but it's so hard when you're in the moment and you got everything going on. It's just, got to take a step back. That's why I think family camp is so great.
Yes.
Because you're forced to be there.
Force is not the right word. He didn't mean that.
No. But we always joke. With Meghan, we named it forced family fun.
We do.
Yeah. We have those things kind of, we're hey, kids, we're doing this today.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, don't care what you feel about it. But by the end of the day, whatever it is that we did, whether it was going hiking or going to a museum or show or whatever, it was like, man, that was awesome. That was awesome. So,
Right. Sometimes they don't need the option. Sometimes you just tell them.
I agree. Sometimes, yes. This is what it is. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're still the parents. We're still in charge a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
They're always going to try to negotiate with you, right? But what do we always say to our kids?
Yeah, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Little terrorist. All right, let's get into the rapid fire round. I'm glad that you got that out, John. That was great. What's one resource you think every Catholic family needs to know about, whether it's online or offline?
Hallow app.
And you can each pick one if you want. Yeah. What'd you say?
Hallow app.
Hallow.
Ooh, yep. I love the Hallow app.
Absolutely. You doing the Pray 40 right now?
Yes.
Heck yeah.
We get together. Most mornings. Yeah. Most mornings.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I this is going to sound very Catholic, but I would say the Catechism.
Oh, that was my other one.
That's awesome.
You stole it from my list.
Oh, I didn't.
You got to hide that looking.
Yeah. There have been two examples. One is, when kids are going through religion classes at school and they get assignments, I found in adoration, it's actually really good. Like it's enriching to learn about virtues as an example. And there's tons of books you could read or resources, but when you really go to the Catechism and you read about the virtues or the fruits of the Holy Spirit and how our faith views those, it's really kind of enriching. I find it enriching. I enjoy that a lot. And then the second time is, or the other occasion I'd reference is, there was a really difficult time we went through with our family. And there were some real questions about some deep stuff. And I found myself going, well, what does our faith really tell us about these situations or this situation? And so I was flipping through and, obviously talked to a couple of priests, but I found it important to really go back and imprint what our faith teaches us about those types of situations. And so it was comforting. And I find that, there's a lot of great Protestant religions, but that's one of the things I love about our Catholic faith is its tradition, and it is in its teaching that's been handed down for the last 2,000 however many years. And it's documented now. And so I find that really insightful and helpful.
That's cool. Love it. Awesome. What's one book you're currently reading or one that you'd highly recommend on any subject?
Ooh, one of the most recent ones that I've read in the last handful of years, just given some stuff that we had gone through, A Grace Disguised.
Ooh, I don't know that one. A Grace
Yeah.
Disguised.
So it's really good. It talks about I lost my parents a handful of years ago unexpectedly, and so it really did help me kind of see it from a different view, and that beauty will come at some point. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
I would reference we did a men's book study on King David, and it was from the Bishop Barron. I think it was Word on Fire.
Yeah.
It was really good. And I think for men, David's a great example because he was a stud from a kid, talk about a warrior and killed lions and bears and Goliath and, just a total badass, I think. And
Sounds like you're kind of fun. Yeah.
But,
any book about a stud, John loves.
But he was flawed and, was suffering from the sin of lust. But in the end, he feared God and loved God, and God loved him. And so I think that was really good. And I thought the men that we did it with, we all got something out of that. So I would mention that as one I'd pass along to others.
That's cool. Awesome, guys. All right. What's advice that you would give to your younger self?
Shall I let you answer this one
You're a
first?
great dancer. I've seen those moves, John Cryer.
Dance more.
Oh man,
Dance Off. What's that movie?
Angry Birds. Yeah, that's seriously fun. Angry Birds, Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre.
Nacho Libre is a family favorite.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, is the advice to your younger self, do more of that?
No,
Watch Nacho all the time.
What's your advice to your younger self?
I think, and I think it's something I've really realized lately is now that I don't have my mom here anymore on earth to give me that wisdom, I'm forced to go to God first. And so I think rather than call mom, which however I want my kids to call mom all the time, like I called my mom, pray first, because I have been jaw dropped lately with how he has answered. And, sometimes I think he's not really listening, or it's frivolous, or it's minor or minute. And it's like, stop talking, Sandra. But then I see God answer and I'm like, oh my goodness. Yes. Like, ooh, yes. So I would say pray first, then call your mom.
I love that.
Yeah, and for me, it's really difficult to answer this kind of question. I only because I think of 2015, and that's when I I would say I didn't hit bottom in my faith, but it was when we had moved to Canada. I was chasing the ring, and the whole bottom just couldn't have fallen out any faster. And I mean, literally, thanks be to God, we found a way back here. Financially didn't disrupt us too much. But that's when I was like, okay, like I've got to start. I need to make a change, and I'm going to learn more about my faith. I went on a weekend at Christ Renews His Parish, and that was really the beginning of me digging in and really thinking about my role as a husband and as a father and as a disciple and as of an employee of a corporate company. And so I don't know. I don't know how I could have done that any sooner. It took what it took. And so I kind of struggle with sort of the advice to my younger self. But because as painful as it was, it led me to where we are right now. And now I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that God had enough mercy on me to help me come to that point, and has kind of held me and has led us through to where we are now.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's one final piece of advice based on anything that we talked about today that you'd give to our listeners?
I think I'll reference back to kind of what we sort of spoke about in the beginning was grace. Just offering each other grace. We've got teenagers, so we got a lot of hormones, we got a lot of moods, and saying I'm sorry. We're having to teach one in particular how to say sorry and recognize, sometimes it's hard and sometimes we don't feel like it, but let's have the grace with one another and then move forward and make a change. So,
And I would just say, I would offer to just be overt and intentional about your faith as a family and as parents, making that a priority and letting everybody know it's a priority. And there's gonna be things that go well. Like we used to pray every night and still do on occasion, but like when they were little, every single night we would hold hands and said the standard prayer, and then kids would go to bed. And so that's gone well, I think. All the conversation went around the dinner table. What hasn't gone well was the time that I thought it'd be a good idea for us to pray the family rosary every Sunday night. And that lasted about 2 Sundays. And it was clear everybody was not into it like I was into it. But we laugh about it now. But I think there's I think the kids understand the intent. Yeah. And it's okay to get it wrong, and it's okay to not be perfect or not have all the answers, but just, being open and transparent about your desire and what you're trying to do as parents, I think is key, because, and be vulnerable. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. Kids see that and they respond, and it actually, I think, endears them and pulls them in. So create some tenderness in the family.
Yeah. I always tell them my number one job, and they'll go, get us to heaven. And I say, yes. My number 2 job, make us employable, Mom. Make us employable.
Make us employable.
That's an important number 2.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. You guys.
We have something similar. We tell our kids, of course, the same, like we want to be able to help them get to heaven and have a faith-filled life. But we also want to make them contributing members of society who will leave our house and not live in our basement.
That's right.
Basement is not an option.
That's right.
Not an option.
Well, you guys lived up to the masterclass title of seriously fun and family focused. Really appreciate you guys being on with us today. Is there any place that if people want to connect with you, like LinkedIn or anywhere else, that they should go look you up?
You can find us on socials, although I'm fasting a little bit from it right now.
Me too.
So, which has been kind of a good thing. Although I was reminded of a few things this morning by someone. So I was like, oops, I'm not on there. So I don't know. I'm like an ostrich.
Yeah, I know it.
Hey, Jim, Megan, I'll just say I admire what you all are doing.
Yes.
I think it's super cool that I don't know where this idea came from. I don't know. I'm sure God planted the seed, but just by the fact that you're embracing technology and that you're doing it, because it does take, I think, community. And I think we watch you all. You may not know it, but Sandra and I do watch you all. We watch your kids, and we take inspiration from how you all have navigated, your lives and your family. And we continue to admire all that you all do. So thank you for inviting us to be a part of this.
Yes.
I think it's just good families coming together who are, sort of on a divine mission, but trying to do it in a way that's a little bit different. So,
yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well,
it's, as Sandra said, it's messy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to be able to look at your mess and then go, okay, they're messy too.
At least
there's a reason.
Jeez.
There's a reason we sit behind you in mass. Right? Guys, it was awesome. You guys stick around with us for a second so we can wrap up. But for everybody else, God bless you. And thank you so much. Take care.